Before we start.
Hey, everybody. Just getting on here to welcome all to Element 115. Jax has got an amazing story for you tonight. And we want to just start by saying hello to everybody and welcoming you into our show and getting everybody primed and ready to rock and roll. So that's what we're doing. Kathy Evans is in the house.
Hi, guys.
Thank you for coming in, Kathy. Jim in the Backwoods is going to be in and out a little bit. Tonight he's got some other things he's paying attention to.
Better be paying attention to us, Tim.
What's that?
I said you better be paying attention to us, Tim.
Yeah, like, what's important and what's not. Pick your battles, pick your friends, know what side of the, wall you need to be on here, Tim. Pay attention.
Well, you can always come back and watch because you won't want to miss this story.
Definitely
I'm going to go up to the top.
Not.
Race fan.
Yep, race fans always here. Always here.
Number one fan, always on, first thing. Pretty sure you get on like a week prior.
Yeah. And the thing is I get on and I try to beat him here now because like now this is a thing.
Yeah. I want to welcome Not of This Earth. He's a new fan, new watcher here.
Yeah. Is that right?
Not of This Earth. Never seen you before, so welcome.
All right. Right now that's everybody, I think. Right, so far, so good. Yeah.
We're just getting on a little early to say hi to everybody. Hi, Kathy. We're just going to go till about 8:05 to let everybody. Hi, Raina. Letting everybody jump on, give everybody a few minutes to get on so we can get started. Hi from Australia.
Hands, giving hugs, all of that.
Rise or
big smiles.
That's all I can say. Rise or blights. Radio Wendigo. Hi, Gay.
Yeah.
From Australia as well. Look at all the love. Wow. All the love from Australia.
I'd love to go there. Guys. Except for the spiders, that time of year when the spiders covered the ground everywhere.
No.
Oh,
no.
No.
Hear it. No. I heard, I kid you not, I heard somebody went there and they came back and said, their spiders are like this big. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to go.
Yeah, apparently they have spider season in Australia, and I'm not so sure about that,
Yeah, I don't know when that is. I am not down. The spiders aren't that bad. How big are they really? Like, compare it to an object. How big do they actually get? Because I'm curious now.
No. Yeah. I don't care how big they are. If they're bigger than this, like I'm out of there. I'll deal with Bigfoot all day. But this spider this big, I'm gone. I'm heading for the hills.
Oh, avoid
I'll hang out with Bigfoot.
Right, from Mount Shasta, Radio Wendigo is now in South Carolina. Nice.
Raina?
I just went to South Carolina last year. It's beautiful. I fell in love with Greenville. Yeah. An inch. So we're talking like the body. I could do without that. No.
We got house spiders.
Let me tell you. Hold on now. Okay. We actually have tarantulas out here. You don't see them very often, but we do actually have them.
I think I can handle the tarantula.
If you go up the mountain, I live near the mountain. And if you go up the mountain, you will come across the big spider. So I don't go up there. You live 5 minutes from Greenville.
Forget it.
I love it there. I love it there. It's gorgeous there. Beautiful.
Well, see, now you guys are talking Greek.
Do what?
It's all Greek. It's all Greek to me. I don't know where this place is. I'm gonna have to check it out after the show.
Greenville, South Carolina. Okay, so I went there last year. Actually, it's been almost a year because I went there. Let me think. I think it was in August. No, yeah, it was in August. And we drove all over the whole state and it was gorgeous. But Greenville was my ultimate favorite.
Yeah, you've been
The
everywhere.
tarantulas look scary. Well, I'm not fond of the tarantulas, I'm not gonna lie.
Tarantulas are okay. People keep those as pets. You can pet them. They're furry.
Hi, Jay, Truth Seeker. Hi, Cryptid Search. Okay, I'm trying. Is this supposed to be? See, is that supposed to be Slim Life?
Yeah,
S1M Life.
you
Okay,
got me on that one.
that's my guess. Try to
Yeah.
tell us exactly how to say it. But you're always on here, and we love you guys.
Deidre C, welcome.
Deidre's in the house. Okay, let's
Cryptid
see.
Search.
We're just gonna give out all our
Hey, Truth
hellos to
Seeker.
everybody. Give everybody about maybe 4 or 5 more minutes. Let's see. I used to run a show much like yours in the local college radio station in Mount Shasta. Oh, that's cool.
Mount Shasta is a hot place too for paranormal activity. A lot like our Mount Adams here in Washington.
Sim life, as in simulation. Got it. Sim life. Ah, thank you.
Aha.
Sim life. Yep, you are special. Awesome. Everybody knows. Okay, well, I know now. So thank you, Sim
Yep.
Life, for always joining. You always have the nicest things to say about us. All of you guys do. All of you
Paranormal
guys.
50. Laura,
Love you all.
welcome, welcome.
What's a Lumorian?
A Lemurian. Lemurians are in
Lemurian?
Mount Shasta.
I don't know
They
what that is. Are those spiders?
no no no
What's that
no.
mean?
Oh, they're supposed to be like an ancient race of ETs that live
Holly,
under Mount
hi
Shasta.
Christine. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Um, you
Oh,
know,
okay. See, listen, I've been in this field forever and I'm still learning. I tell people that all the time. They always think, oh, you know everything. No, I don't. I
I
do
gotta
not
tune
know
her up on
everything.
the I gotta tune her up on the ET side of things. That's my job.
I'm trying. I'm learning. I'm trying to figure this out.
Well, we
Green
share,
Pilgrim.
don't we? I'm learning a lot about Bigfoot. You're learning a lot about the ET phenomena. So there you go.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Van Gold is in the house. Wayne. Hi, guys.
Hello, all.
Hello,
We're going to
hello.
about 8:05. Letting everybody jump
We'll give
in,
it
and
a
then we'll.
couple minutes and then we'll go. I've got an amazing story about a house I lived in down in the south near New Orleans. I'm going to tell you guys all about it.
Yeah, I can't wait
Ooh,
to, because
okay, cool.
even though I've known Jax for 4 years, I haven't heard a whole lot about this place, and I'm
Mm,
really interested for tonight's story.
hmm I've got a lot
Definitely.
of paranormal stories, lots and lots and lots. Growing up paranormal. That's what it's like, a new thing now. I say growing up paranormal, and that's exactly how I grew up. So,
Welcome,
oh, you lived in
welcome,
Baton
Tom
Rouge,
Girl.
huh?
Welcome, Polly.
You Tom girl. I actually lived in over the border. I actually lived in the Mississippi side, but really close. So I actually moved down there in 2009 because of my family. My parents had retired down there, and I'll tell you guys this whole story when we get started. But anyway, my dad was very ill, so I wanted to go be close to him and my mom and everybody. But let's see. Remy Michael, or how
8:05.
do you say it? Remy Michael Belfleur? Okay.
Raina.
Not familiar with the name, but I Okay, I won't call you Remy ever. I
You
had a
ready?
guy come on, yeah, um, Lee and I were doing just kind of a private little show, just me and him and one other friend, and I'm not gonna mention who it was. But anyway, he you won't they won't understand. But anyway, he kept calling me my mom's name the whole show because my mom's name I was on her computer, and he kept calling me Peggy the whole time, and I'm like, "My name's Jax." He kept calling me
Yeah.
Peggy, and I was like, "Alright, well, so I'll never
It,
call you that." Yeah,
no, I mean, we should have just called him Peggy. Get back
he
at
is a
him.
peg. He's a peg leg.
He's a peg leg.
Polly, okay, let's make sure we got everybody in here. Um, all right, I say we go ahead and let's go live and get this going. So,
All right,
all
here we
right, guys,
go.
give us just a minute and we'll tell you all about it. Let's go. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome everybody to Element 115. I love you
Yeah,
all.
we're excited to get this kicked off. Jax has
Yeah,
got a great story.
well, this is actually a true story. Pretty much, I mean, everything we talk about is a true story because they're all about our life experiences. Um, I am gonna clean off my glasses here really quick so I can read my notes. I'm so blind. I want to get that surgery from my eyes. But all right, you guys ready? Here we go. Okay, so here's the thing. So back in 2009, I was 38, 39 at the time. I just turned 39. And like I had said earlier, we had actually had my parents had moved to the South and thought it would be really nice to go retire and buy a big, beautiful plantation home down there. And unfortunately, my dad ended up getting very sick. We found out he had cancer. And I had just had a baby, my son Jack. So I thought, it's really crazy for us to be all the way in California when my family is going through this. So we decided to just pick up and go. And so we decided to go out, and I went out to to this area that I was telling you guys is like in Mississippi, right outside of New Orleans area. And while I was there, I bought a house. So my ex-husband at the time is still in California and he's kind of like wrapping it up and getting ready to come out to where we were staying. And so I bought this house. I found this beautiful house around just like right around the corner from my parents' house. And so I ended up buying it. It was really weird because I remember the very first day, and I was totally joking when I walked in and I asked the lady who lived there, I said, "Hey, is this place haunted?" And she goes, "No. Why would you say that?" And just like the way she answered me, I looked at my mom like, well, that was strange the way she said that. And my mom goes, "Yeah, that was a little weird the way she said that." And so we left, and I said, "Now I'm really wondering what that was about." And she goes, "Yeah, that was strange." So we're taking the tour. The lady takes us through the house and she's giving us the tour. Now, at the time, she was actually a renter. And the owner I ended up dealing with, I never even met the owner. We actually ended up working through, like in the South, you have to go through like an attorney to buy a house. It's very different there. But anyway, it was so strange because my mom was holding my son at the time, and he was about 14. No, I take that back, about a year old. I think he had just turned one because it took us about 2 months before we got moved into the house. And so we're walking through the house. Now the house is kind of shaped like a horseshoe style house. Like when you walk in the front door, there's like a mini hallway, and then you go left, there's a really long hallway, and then it turns around and goes left again. There's another hallway, and that's the way the whole house is shaped. So I remember walking in the door and we're walking around, and even my mom and I kept looking at each other and saying, like, this is just a kind of a weird vibe in here. And I think maybe that's why I asked her, and then she answered so oddly. But anyway, when we walked into the master bedroom, now my mom's still holding my son, and my mom said she felt like something severely pushed her really hard. And my mom holding my son went flying, and it was like she couldn't catch her own footing, and she literally ended up falling and landed on top of my son. Okay. And I'm freaking out. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm trying to help them and get them up. And well, anyway, we left. So we talked about it for a while, like, well, that was really weird. And she was like, Jackie, I swear I felt like something shoved me. And I'm like, well, maybe you just tripped over your shoe, or I don't know, maybe holding the baby was too much weight. So, of course, we brushed it off. And this is me growing up in the paranormal, and I'm still brushing this off. And so, anyway, about 2 months later, it's move in day. Now, it is September 9th, 2009, the day we moved in. And we had everything, like bringing in everything box by box and bed by bed, and that first day you're always so exhausted. So basically we just decided, let's just put the boxes in the house, get the beds down, get some sleep because it's getting really late, and we'll just start moving stuff in tomorrow. So basically, that's what we did. All of us were wiped out. At the time, it was myself, my husband at the time, which is my ex husband, my son, who was about 14 months old, and my older daughter, Maddie, who was 12 at the time. Well, Maddie's room was like two doors down. It was a four-bedroom, three-bath house. And her bedroom was down the hall. Like her bedroom literally went, when you turned that first corner, the hallway went straight to her room. So you could see her room all the way down the hall. And it was probably around 11 o'clock at night. We're laying there, and our bedroom door was shut. And we're just kind of like winding down. We're laying there, and it's like dead silent. Our son had just gone to sleep, and he was in the middle of us. And all of a sudden, you hear three really loud knocks. Okay. And so we assumed it, I assumed, and he assumed that it was our daughter. So, of course, I said, come in, and nothing. And he looks at me and I look at him and I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. And I go, Maddie, and nothing. And so I looked at him and I go, go check on her, make sure she's okay. And so he jumps up, like, I mean, really fast too. It wasn't like we waited. He jumps up, goes to the door. When he opens the door, there's nothing there. And he goes down to her room and she's knocked out. Like you can tell she has been knocked out. She didn't get up. She hasn't moved. And he said she even looked like she was like drooling from exhaustion. And so he comes back in and says, "Well, it wasn't her. So I don't know what that was." And I said, "Well, I don't know what that was either, but that's probably not a good sign when you get three knocks at a door and no one's there and it's not your own kid." So that really just creeped us out from the get go. Now, this is night one. Okay. So the very next day, of course, we get up and we're talking about it and we're just like, that was really weird. What was that? Of course, we asked our daughter, was that you? And she said, no. She said, when I went to sleep, I stayed asleep. I never got up and came to your room. So we were like, okay, well, we don't know what it is. And of course, we're trying to just like brush it off like it's nothing. Well, that very next day, we're moving stuff from room to room and trying to get things set up. And all of us kept hearing like almost like a whispery, breathy kind of like noise, but yet it almost sounded like it was calling out a name. And we could all
Oh.
hear it. And so we'd walk down the hall. It was because what we would do is we would walk through the living room and there was like this little tiny mini like an entrance, like you could go through the garage door. And I'm not even sure what this little room was, but it was like this little mini room between that door and the living room. And it had like a cabinet. So we used to call it like the mini office. And so we would walk in that door. Well, the second you'd walk down that step, it was like you walked into someone's like, I don't even know what you'd call it, like a smoke room or a loungy kind of place where it took on a real weird smell. And you would
Mm-hmm.
always smell like someone blowing cigarette smoke in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so and all of us would smell. Now, you have to remember, my son's tiny, he doesn't talk yet. And I'll explain that more later. And so we started talking about it. Now, this is day two. And we're just like, where's that coming from? None of us smoked. Um, we're not really close to neighbors. This is the South. They've got big distance between houses, and we own two lots. So there's not a house real close to us. And so we started talking about it. And so by the end of the day, we're thinking like, okay, this is weird. First, we get these knocks. Now we're getting these weird vibes. Now we're getting like cigarette smoke smell blown in our face. And so we're still trying to like brush it off. Okay. Well, that's when things just seemed calm. Let's just say, because things hyped up real fast. And we lived in this house, like I said, 4 straight years. It happened every single day that we lived there. There was never a day that we didn't have some kind of crazy paranormal activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go down this list of like specific things that we went through, of like key things that my family endured in this house. Okay.
I
So do
I
what?
do have some questions about the house when you get a minute.
Okay. You can ask me.
Yeah. So you said that the house was like a U shaped. Uh,
Well, it wasn't
it was shaped.
necessarily U-shaped. It was the way it was like you went in like a little hallway, like from the front door, you went in and then it immediately turned to the left. So it wasn't U-shaped, but it was like that's the way the house was. It was like a plantation style southern house. But it would have like a little hall, long hall, then a mini hall that went down to the bedrooms.
Did it have like a courtyard in the center, like, and the bedrooms went off one side
It
and
had
maybe the other
it had
side?
like a front yard patio that was in the front.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
So
trying to
kind
get
of,
an
but that was the front door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, the strange things that we really went through were um so you would like if we were laying in bed, especially like you would hear this, I would hear this. I was at home all the time raising my son. And so I would hear things in the house like random footsteps. It would sound like things are scratching the walls. Like literally, it would sound like someone took their fingernails and just went down the walls. We would hear tapping on our windows, like someone's knocking to get our attention on the windows. It'll always
Ooh.
sound like someone's outside, but you could never quite tell if it is it inside, is it outside. But you'd be sitting there and it would just be like tapping on the glass. Okay. Speaking of glass,
Wow.
I'll tell you guys another thing that happened with glass that was very strange. I just told this to Lee the other day. But anyway, we would be laying there and it would sound like, now we only lived in a one-story house. And it would sound like someone's dragging furniture above us, like as if it's like an attic. We didn't have an attic. We didn't have a crawl space or an attic. That's not the way our house was made. It was like you would have what does it say? Pick of your old home you can share. I will share that on Element 115 on our Facebook page. I will find a picture of it. And but anyway, it would sound like someone's taking super heavy furniture and just dragging it across. Every night you would hear this, dragging. And actually our older daughter, much older daughter, she was like probably about maybe 20 at the time, than our younger kids. And she came to stay with us, to live with us. And I think she lasted about a week and she bolted. She packed her stuff and she said, I can't stay here. This place is insane. I can't stop seeing weird things. What?
It didn't she didn't she not believe in anything paranormal up
Oh
to this
yeah.
point?
Okay. Well, back in the day, yeah, she absolutely 100% did not. Matter of fact, we even told her. We pre-told her before she moved in, listen, we want you to be completely aware that there's strange things going on in the house and we're constantly hearing things, smelling things. It's always something all the time. And she said, "Oh, I don't believe in that stuff. That stuff doesn't exist. It's you, mom. It's all in your head and because you're in the paranormal, you think this." And I said, "Well, let me tell you something. My ex-husband didn't believe in the paranormal either. Now he does." We had some crazy paranormal stuff happen. Um, did that house have paranormal stories before you moved?
Before you moved in
Um,
from the
oh, that's
realtor?
why I asked the lady. No, she said no, but I don't believe her. But so anyway, I think that's why she was moving out. I think she was just like, I'm out. I can't take it anymore. I'm out. And I think she thought if we thought it was haunted that we wouldn't buy the house. But honestly, it wouldn't have probably changed if even if she said, yeah, it's haunted, I probably would have still bought it because I thought it's not going to change anything because of me, because everywhere I go, I have issues. But
Blessings,
anyway,
maybe not issues.
yeah. So we had this like the one long hallway. Okay. So there was only down that hallway, there was only one bedroom, which was my older daughter's bedroom that looked out to the front courtyard. That's the one she stayed a weekend and she left. She's like, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back to this house. She wouldn't go back to the house ever. The whole 4 years we lived there. And but down that hall, at the end of the hall, was our laundry. And that's all that was down that hall. It was a long hallway, but that's the only two things that were down there. And we would constantly feel like we're being watched, like this really creepy older man. And I would get visions of him looking like he was from like, say, the cowboy days. Okay. And so I would always have this vision of this older gentleman who was very much dressed like cowboy guy. And that's what we ended up calling him, cowboy guy. We'd call him hallway man or cowboy guy. So that became like our our name for him. We don't know. We don't know if it was multiple um entities or just the one, but that's what we kind of had an idea. But it just gets very weird. Okay. So anyway, we would constantly hear footsteps in our house. And it wasn't just regular footsteps. This is why we actually created Cowboy Guy because it was cowboy boots walking like as if so now we had tile in our house, but it'd be like cowboy boots walking on a wood floor, like back in the olden days. Okay. So you'd hear
Oh,
cowboy boot, cowboy boot, cowboy boot. And I'm talking loud. It didn't matter where you were in the house. If you heard him, it was like, you know what I mean? It was like stomping, stomping. And one time, the very first time I ever heard it, I thought it was my dad. And I heard the front door open. Now you got to remember now that in the South, a lot of people have these doors called storm doors. And so I have a regular wood door that's locked, and I also have a glass storm door that was also locked. And so I have a garage door and two French doors that go on the back. Everything's locked. All the time I kept my doors locked. And so I hear the front door open and slam. Okay. And so I'm in my bedroom, which is all the way in the back of the house, which looks out to the front, but you got to go all the way through the house to get there. And so I'm rocking my baby at the time. And so I remember he had just fallen asleep too. And I remember thinking, like, okay, it's my dad. I can tell it's my dad. And they lived right down the street. My dad would drive up on his riding lawnmower and he would mow our grass all the time. So I figured it was my dad coming over to do the grass. And every once in a while, he'd just come in and say hi and check on me. And so, like I said, front door opens, slams. Okay. And I don't even think twice about it. I'm still like, oh, it's my dad. And so you hear footstep, like this is the cowboy boots, cowboy boot, cowboy boot. Like you can hear it very, very obvious that it's a cowboy boot. It goes in, turns, and walks all the way down the hall. Just as it gets to that end of that corner where you're just going to turn in to go near me, I yelled out, Dad, I'm in here, thinking that this is still my dad. And then I thought to myself, well, that's weird. God, it's been a long time since I've seen my dad wear cowboy boots. My dad hardly ever wears cowboy boots, but he had some. So I'm just
Mhm.
assuming, right? Well, as soon as I yelled, I'm in here, those cowboy boots stopped, just instantly stopped. Well, I sat there for a second listening and I said again, Dad, I'm in the room with the baby. I just got put him to sleep. So I get up, I lay my son down on the bed. I walk down the corner and I look and there's no one. Like, I mean,
Oh,
no one. And
wow.
this is probably about like noon. I'm in the house by myself with my son. And so now I'm thinking, okay, that's weird because I know for a fact I just heard him walk in the house. And so I look all over the house, I check all the doors. He's nowhere in my house. And then I realize all the doors are still locked. Okay. And so then I'm thinking, all right, this is weird. I know for a fact I heard that. So that's what started Cowboy Guy. Okay. So we go from that to um, the strangest things that started happening in our house were my son. Um, Let me start off by telling you. Okay, so he was about, like I said, 14 months old when we moved in. From the very first day we ever lived there was this one corner up in the master bedroom, and he would point at this corner every single day. And it would scare him half to death. And then he would lay back down behind like the bed on the floor and he would look up and always like hide himself like he could see something. And so I used to think like, okay, my son is obviously seeing someone and I cannot see who this person is or who this entity is. And of course I would always like look up there and then I started getting this feeling of like that's exactly where my rocking chair was for rocking the baby to sleep. And it would creep me out because I would think like if there's something here, it's always behind me. And I always had that feeling of something behind me. Okay, so we go from that to it's probably about now, this is the same activity over and over and over all the time happening in our house. Okay, so I'm actually about probably a year later and I'm in the kitchen. And you got to remember, like, this is something now we're used to. And so I'm in there. I just put the baby to sleep. My older daughter's at school. My husband at the time's at work, and the house is quiet. So I thought, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go wash dishes and get things done. Of course, every time you walk down the hall, you always give that hallway a look because you just have that weird feeling of something's always there. It's always watching you. And I remember walking down there that day, and I said, I don't really like you. You know, I'd really like it if you just leave us alone. And I just, for whatever reason that day, it was all like, I just had enough. Like, I just didn't want to be bothered by it. And
Yeah.
so I go in the kitchen and I'm only standing there for maybe like 2, 3 minutes, and I'm washing dishes. And I remember holding, I don't know what, like a bowl or a plate or whatever it was, and I'm washing it. And all of a sudden, and there's a window right in front of me that I can see into the backyard. We have a swimming pool, and we've got this shed in the back where the door is always locked. And that's where we just kept, like, extra stuff like holiday, things that you put up and stuff like that. Not nothing big, but we still kept it locked. All our pool supplies and stuff like that. So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden in the glass, and I feel something go past me. So I feel like this weird movement and breeze behind me, and my hair went like that. Okay, as I'm standing there, not only do I feel it, but I feel my hair get moved. And so I kind of just stood there for a second because it just kind of takes you by surprise that, okay, there's something there. Well, then all of a sudden I had this breathy, uh, like whispery breath, heavy breath, and it said my name in my ear. And I dropped whatever it was I was holding. I think it was like a plate or something, and it shatters. And so now I'm just kind of like, oh God. And as soon as I'm standing there, I'm like, oh God, please just leave me alone. And then I feel this hand on my back, and you can tell it's like wanting, like caressing, like just caressing your back,
Oh,
like it's wanting to mess with me. And I just said, okay, that's it. I'm done. You can have the house. I'm over it. Okay. I said, just leave me alone. And all of a sudden, I'm still standing there, and I'm looking out the window, and I'm scared to death. I don't even want to turn around and look because I'm afraid I'm going to see, cowboy guy. And I see the shed door swing open really hard and go bam and slam shut. And I
oh,
just thought, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if that's where you live or you like it out there, but by all means, you're welcome to stay there. Okay. It freaked me out so bad that I literally ran to my room. I packed a bag. I got my baby. I went and picked up my daughter from school, and I said, we're going to stay at Nana and Papa's house for at least 2 weeks. I need a break. And then, so while we're staying there, we're thinking, like, okay, maybe if we're gone, things will calm down and we'll go back. Okay. Well, no, things don't calm down, they get worse. So we get back home, and now I'm just like on edge because I'm like, okay, we're back. And I would always talk to the house. I'm always like, okay, we're back. We don't want to be bothered. If you live here, that's fine. Just leave us alone. We'll leave you alone. And I'm trying to like negotiate with the with cowboy guy. Yeah.
so the question I have is way back when you were talking about boots on the hardwood floors, but you also said that you had tile floors.
No,
So
what I
I'm
said was, yeah, we had tile floors, but it sounded like it was walking on wood.
okay,
So we didn't have wood. We had
right.
tile. Yeah.
So would you consider that to be like an echo of the past? Because I've heard of things like this before where the sounds from the past will
Well, okay. So I'm
come.
glad you actually asked that because, okay, so there are hauntings where people live like they're still reliving those same things over and over and over and over, but they don't acknowledge you. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's not what we were dealing with because this thing was full blown acknowledging us, talking to us, touching us. So this was more like it was interacting more with us than like a haunting that's just like replaying over and over. Okay. It wasn't like
right,
that for us at all. Yeah.
right,
So
right. And you smelt the cigarette smoke as well, and that
all the
would,
time.
yeah, that would
Yeah, there was no
give a
attic, by the
person
way.
that would give the person the indication that maybe things from the past he was using maybe somehow to affect you
No.
guys in the present, bringing some of those things from the past that he was familiar with along with him
I
in
think
some
I
way.
think well, we think that he was from the past, because we actually ended up researching to see if we could find out if anyone had died there, or if anyone had ever lived on the land, or if the land was at some point maybe something else that we were unaware of, and we never got any answers. So
Oh.
nothing ever made sense to us, because we could not
Mm.
for the life of us figure out uh where he was coming from. We don't know if it was like he just something happened to him in a different location and then he ended up here. We just never got a full answer.
Yeah.
Not that we know of. We checked on all that. We did a lot of research on this house, believe me, years of research, and we never found anything. Now, I'm trying to read my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So there was constantly stuff being moved in our house. Like, we would see things move. Like, you'd walk into a room and something would slide across a table, or dishes would fall out of the cabinet, or cabinets would be wide open, or my daughter's room would be completely destroyed out of nowhere. Um, just constantly, all the time, stuff being moved. We'd walk into our bedroom and pillows would slide across the bed. I mean, it was all the time. It never left us alone. And so I want to tell you guys a couple different things that we went through. Like, you would feel like maybe one day, um, was this a plantation house or on a plantation? As in the title, more details? It's not like a plantation name. It's just like the style of the area. So it's a plantation style house. I didn't own a plantation. I owned 2 lots. That's it, but that was enough for me. I couldn't get out of there
Well,
fast enough, believe me. Um, and this is a girl who grew up paranormal, and this was by far the worst of all the paranormal houses ever. So, anyway, my ex-husband had to go on several business trips. And so my older daughter, Maddie, would always come sleep with me if he left. She was always scared to be by herself. And a lot of times I would end up sleeping in her room with her, even when he was at home, because we just all never felt comfortable there. And I totally understood how she felt. And
mm,
so one night she says, "Hey, since he's out of town, can I sleep with you?" And I'm like, "Of course, I'd rather you be in here." So this is night one of her. Now he's supposed to be gone for like 3 or 4 days. And we lay down. Now, this is in the exact same bed, same room that we hear the knocks day one. Now, this is about a year and a half later. And we're laying there, and it's just me and her, and then my son. And she's probably about 13 at the time. So my baby's probably about 2. And we turn off the lights. And like when you first turn off the lights, you're laying there and it's quiet, but you're not asleep yet. Okay. And so as we lay there, all of a sudden, we hear, both of us, the creepiest little girl laugh. And it sounded like it was floating above our head. It put
ooh,
chills down our spine. It was the creepiest thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. And she immediately says to me, "Oh my God, mom, did you hear that?" Well, of course I heard it, but I tell her, "I didn't hear anything," because I'm like freaking out, going like, "Oh my God, I can't tell her I heard that." So here I am lying to my kid, because I know if I tell her I heard that, she's gonna be like, "We're out of here," okay? And she's gonna be freaking out. So of course I told her years later, I'm like, "Yes, of course I heard it, okay?" And it scared the crap out of me. But it was
is,
not fun to hear that. It scared us beyond belief.
do you think that you might be able to give us a little taste of what that may have sounded like? Do you think you can get close to?
Oh my god. I don't know if I can make the noise, it was so bad, but imagine, like, the scariest little creepy girl laugh you can ever imagine in, like, the worst, creepiest movie ever. I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can do a little creepy girl laugh, because I have a deep voice for a girl. Um, but it was just like, like, like literally like that high pitched, like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? But it went
Oh yeah.
on for
Yeah.
like 10 long seconds or something.
Oh
And
wow.
honest to God, I remember laying there and thinking like, "Oh dear God, okay, it's getting out of hand. Like crap's getting out of hand." Okay, so that scared the crap out of us. And of course, now you're like I said, years later, I tell my daughter the truth, and she's just like, "I knew it, I knew you heard it," and I'm like, "Yeah, of course I heard it." Okay, so this is now a year later. Okay, now you got to imagine like this is the same stuff we hear over and over and no, I take that back. This is about the same time. Let me go back. This is about what my son's about 1.5 to 2. Okay, out of nowhere, we get up one morning and there is this very strange flood in our like it went down our hallway into our kitchen, but it went nowhere else. And we couldn't understand where it was coming from. We checked all the appliances, we checked everything, the washer, the dishwasher, I mean, you name it, the fridge, we couldn't figure out what it was. But the weirdest thing is that the water, it smelled like mold. And we're
Ooh.
just like, what is that? It had the worst, disgusting smell. And so, of course, we clean it up and we're just like, what? Where did that come from? Well, we get it all cleaned up and we're standing in our kitchen, which is we have these French doors that have these square glass little panes, the window panes, and it's got
Mhm.
those little slivers of wood. So it's like little square of glass, all the way up. And so we get this all done and we're standing there and all of a sudden, it's myself and my ex-husband, and I believe our son, he might be with us at the time. I think my daughter was gone. And all of a sudden, one of the glass panes goes like it's broke, like something hit it. And we kind of just both looked at it and like, what? And then the second one, and then a second
Ooh.
one breaks, and then it full blown shatters. And glass comes flying at us. And he's like, oh my God, I don't know what is going on. Get the baby, get out of here. So we actually, once again, pack it up, we get out of here. And he's trying to clean all this mess up. And so about a day or two goes by, and our son becomes very ill and out of
Mm.
nowhere. And we're like, what is going on with him? And so I ended up taking him to the emergency room, and they said, he has pneumonia. There's mold in his lungs.
Whoa.
And we're like, we just had a flood in our house and it smelled like mold. And they're like, well, we think there's probably mold underneath the floor. So, of course, I'm in the hospital with my son who almost died from this. Okay. And he's about 1.5 years old. So as I'm there, his dad has someone come in and tear out our entire kitchen floor, and because that's where they think it's coming from. Well, there's nothing. There's no mold. Then they decide to
Mm.
tear out the walls. Nothing. We can't find anything. There's no mold anywhere. No answers to any of this. And so he gets better. We go home. And now we're starting to feel like something is really attacking our family because at this time now, my whole family is under attack and it is causing us so much stress that now all we do anymore is fight, argue, um, like saying nasty things to each other that we wouldn't normally say. It was like we were just on the attack. Every day it was like, you're this, you're that, I hate you, I hate you, I don't want to be with you. I mean, it was just constant all the time out of nowhere. And we weren't like that before. And so we're probably about a month now back at the house. And my husband and I at the time were standing in the master bedroom, and our son was in laying in the middle. Now we have a California king at the time, and he's laying smack in the middle of the bed asleep. And he's like that typical kid where the kid lays with their legs straight out and the arms straight out. Well, that's how he would sleep. And as we're standing there talking to each other, and now we're probably going back and forth because we're always arguing. That's all we do anymore is just pick on each other and argue and fight. And all of a sudden, our son, it looks like someone grabs one arm and one leg, and he got pulled out of the bed sideways. So he went across the bed and bam, slams on the ground. Well, his dad freaks out, runs over, picks him up, and says, "That's it. We're out of here. It's attacking our son. We can't take it anymore." And of course, then again, we have to get out of the house. So we kept going, kept leaving. And of course, we would talk about it like, we need to get out of here. We need to get out of here. So we decided immediately, we're putting the house on the market. We're done. We can't stay here. Well, we put the house on the market and we sat there for a year. We never had one soul come look at our house. It was like something was pushing people away. And there were people buying houses all the time around us, but no one would come look at our house. And yeah, it got crazy. So it was just like nonstop all the time, insane things happening to us. But we would have things like, okay, let me get back into this because I was going to tell you guys something. Okay, so when our son was about 2 now, we're still in the house. Um, he went from being this complete sweet, kind little loving baby to all of a sudden out of nowhere he would be screaming bloody murder, scratching us, biting us, kicking us. I mean, his behavior just changed overnight. And we were like, what is going on? We didn't know what in the world was happening. When he was 2 years old, we used to teach him all the time about how to read. We were trying to do that, like My Baby Can Read program and get him like started on that. Well, he was reading like at 2 years old. And then overnight, when I boom, like out of nowhere, he went nonverbal, complete nonverbal overnight, and would no longer speak. Now, this went on until he was probably about like 6 years old. So it went from him talking and acting completely normal to now all of these crazy things are happening. And it felt like it was attacking him. Now, we did find out later that he has autism. And so we don't know if that was the behaviors that we were experiencing or if it had something more going on with what was going in the house. But it was full on attacking our son. And so at that point we were like, look, we're not staying here. As soon as this house sells, we're out of here. Well, about a year and a half goes by and we're still sitting there like no one's coming to see this house. We don't know why. Nobody wants to come see this house. So we get a call one day, and lo and behold, someone says, "We want to come see your house." And we're just like, "Oh, thank God, someone's going to come by the house. We're out of here. We're not going to tell them anything. We just want gone." And they walked into the house. We weren't there. Okay. But we got a call from the agent. They said they walked into the house. They knew no one was there. And all the bedroom doors slammed at the exact same time. They could just hear them slam, like every single one of them. They turned around and left. They had the agent call us and said, "No, thank you. We're not interested in a haunted house." We were just like, oh my God. And I said, "Do you mind if I ask you what happened?" Because, like, we never said anything like that. And she told me, and I thought, we're never going to sell that house. We're stuck with that house. So unfortunately, we had to make a decision at that point. Now, by this time, our son was 4. Now, we had been there this whole time and we couldn't take it anymore. It was nonstop. So we decided it was probably like, well, I got to remind you too. I was also pregnant that last year. I got pregnant with my daughter, Sydney. And so I had just given birth to my daughter. We were actually going to move earlier, but when I got pregnant, I was like, listen, let's just wait, have the baby. As soon as she's born, we're out of here. And so we did that. But we literally had to pack up and walk away from the house. Like at that point, we were just like, we can't live here anymore. We can't take it anymore. It was just nonstop. But I mean, I have to tell you guys, I know it's like snippets of like 4 years of our life, but this stuff never, ever stopped. It went on for 4 straight years, never left us alone. And we were actually afraid it was going to follow us. It really creeped us out when we left. We were like, oh God, please just you stay here. We're leaving. We're giving you that. We literally all said as a family, we're giving you the house. You can have the house back. We're done. We're leaving. We're sorry if we came in and upset you, but we're going. And and thank God when we moved, we didn't have any issues at our new place. But yeah, it was like living in pure hell for 4 straight years. It was nonstop of stuff happening to us, and, it was hard. It was a difficult place to be in, and I'm actually gonna be writing a book, and, I'm gonna talk way more about that house in the book in more detail. But yeah, those were some of the, like, the key, things, major things that always stick in my mind of stuff we went through. So you got any questions for me before we have to head out?
Well, I never expected that kind of a story from you on this
I
this
don't talk
place. I,
about this
I
much.
really, yeah, I mean, we've known each other for 4 years and we've talked
Mhm.
about a lot of things, but the story that you just related to me makes me think that, there was definitely, poltergeist sort of activity here in this
Yeah.
home, and maybe even something worse, you know, makes me think,
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, we don't know, but the fact that people were injured, your son
Mhm.
was thrown off the bed. I mean, those
Oh,
things, those type of things, glass being thrown in your face and that sort
yeah.
of thing
Mhm.
from a
Yeah.
door glass being shattered and that sort of thing. Those are real
Yeah.
physical type of
Yeah.
injuries.
Yeah, those that wasn't the only I literally can't get into every single thing that happened in the house. We would be here forever. But,
Yeah.
those were just, like, things that specifically always stuck out in my mind. But, we had days where we would be injured, and it was just nonstop weird stuff. Like, I'll never forget, like, one day, we kept hearing stuff in, like I said, the attic. We called it the attic, but we didn't have an attic. It was like a little crawl space in the garage that
Mhm.
went above the first bedroom area, but that's as far as it went. It closed off, and then it was like regular, you know, just normal top of the house stuff, but no attic. And I'll never forget this. So my ex at the time was walking across, and the room that my daughter stayed in, that said she kept seeing a guy in there and he was creeping her out so bad. That's why she took off. Well, we found out later why she left. She said he would watch her and stand over her and watch her when she was sleeping. Well,
Wow.
he was like bending down, kind of walking over, and as soon as he walked over the room, he fell through. He fell through the entire ceiling, and like it just gave out, like it didn't want him up there or something. And I remember hearing him screaming, and I walked in and he fell through the whole entire roof. So yeah, it was crazy. But it was nonstop. Like it wasn't a joke living there. And I mean, I wouldn't wish this house on anybody. It was not fun. It was not entertaining. It was uncomfortable. Like, you always felt like you're being watched. Like it didn't matter where you were. It didn't matter if you were doing the most, you know, chilled out thing. You always knew something was there watching you at all times. And I used to go because, like, I was lucky at the time, my family lived right down the road from me. And almost every single day, I would go down there and I would spend as much time at their house as I possibly could just to kind of get away from it. Because even for me, that was hard. That was a really, really hard time. And it caused my daughter to go through really bad depression. And we think that that had a lot to do with it, that what was happening in the house, and it was making her feel that way.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, it would cause us all, like, to be out of the norm. We went from, like, this extremely loving, very happy family to always fighting. Just all of us just, like, screaming and yelling, and I mean, it was bad. It was horrible. I actually ended up getting a divorce. There were many things that happened, other things that happened that caused us, but we actually ended up going our separate ways after that house because it was just too much. It just tore us apart, and we just couldn't, find our way back. It was just it was horrible. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's an incredibly sad and scary story for sure.
yeah.
I had
Well,
I
I
had
mean,
things happen, but
yeah,
not like that. I've had books
yeah.
thrown on my bed from a bookshelf when I was a kid, and you know, that was before the time I got into the Ouija boards. But after the Ouija boards,
Oh, I don't
some
do
scary.
Ouija boards.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't recommend it. I really don't. I do think, like we were talking earlier, that's possible. You could be opening some sort of portal, and you don't want to necessarily do that
Mm,
either.
no.
Um, so,
I actually believe that when you're sensitive to the paranormal, though, you are made like you're a portal, and
mhm.
it's easier for people on the other side to come through, because
Yeah.
if you're an
Mhm.
empath and a sensitive or any like psychic or whatever you want to call yourself, okay, you're basically like a portal, and you're open, and it's like they find a way in through you.
They're
um
attracted to people that are more sensitive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not only are they attracted to you, but they realize they have an in and an out, okay?
Yeah.
Because they're sharing your energy. Well, your energy is open to the other side. My son is the same way, and I've talked a little bit about this on the show and other places. He's the one that has autism. He's 16 now, but he also experiences the paranormal, and unfortunately, he has a lot of really scary things that come in and out that bother him a lot.
Yeah.
But I personally had people reach out to me and say, "Your son's a portal, and he has a portal near him." So, I don't know if it's actually a portal near him as much as it is him. We're just very, very sensitive. My dad had the exact same abilities that I have, my son has. They're identical. Um,
Mhm.
so it's just something that I grew up with. And like I said, that's why I say now, growing up paranormal, and this is just one of those weird experiences. So it does make me wonder, from day one, did that entity know that I'm sensitive to the other side? And was that its way to come in?
Yeah. 2 minutes left here on the show for us. But yeah, definitely. I think, it saw you guys maybe even more than the previous owner, right? Um,
I don't know.
you with small children, of course, and
Yeah.
you already being open to that sort of thing and having those sorts of
Mhm.
experiences previously. So yeah, absolutely. You're a
Yeah.
magnet, coming through you, like using you like a portal, like you're saying, and
Yeah.
and possibly your son as well. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, before
yeah.
we wrap it up here, guys, we just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. I will share more with you guys as we go through week after week, and little things will pop up, and I'll share more about that with you guys. But we do want to thank you all so much for coming on and joining us. But we do want to let you guys know that Dave Scott is up next.
Yep.
Don't forget to stay on and join him as well. So
Yeah,
catch him on
definitely.
Spaced Out Radio from 9 to 12 tonight. I know you guys are just gonna like jump over. You're all big, big,
Primed and
big,
ready.
big, big loves of ours. But we do
Yep.
love you guys. You guys, we love you so much.
Yes, we do. We appreciate you guys being here, and we
Yeah.
love reading the comments. Um,
Yeah. So yeah. But thanks for joining us and listening to my story. And we hope you guys
yep.
have a good night. But
We're gonna
we
run
gotta
our
go.
outro. We'll see you next week for some Bigfoot stuff.